Welcome. The League of Women Voters is pleased to have a forum for the candidates for both the elementary school district and the high school district. All of the candidates were invited by letter, and they were told how the forum would go. We're going to have introduction by the League. The League is a political, nonpartisan organization. We do not support or oppose candidates. We are pleased to have this so that the public can learn more about it. We are being co-sponsored by the Santa Maria Times, and we appreciate that. We've got a reporter here. They're recording it. It's going to be shown on their website, and we also have a videographer who is taping it to be shown on public access TV. So we're trying to get as much coverage as we can. The format that was in the letter for the candidates explained that each candidate will have 4 minutes. You can say whatever you want in your 4 minutes. We have a timekeeper here. She will hold up a sign when your time is up. Cards are being passed out, blank cards. So if you have a question, write your question on a card and then hold it up, and one of our League members will collect the questions. And then we're going to take a break after all of the candidates have had a chance to speak. During the break, we're going to sort the questions so that if there's a whole bunch in one category, we'll try to group those together. If there's one to a specific candidate, that person can answer, and then any other can take a whack at it if they want to. The questions are going to be read by me. We do not take any verbal questions. If you have a question, write it out. A 3x5 card doesn't give you a whole lot of space, so you have to make your question pretty concise. There's tables out in the lobby for candidates to put some of their campaign materials. You're welcome to look at those during the break or after. With that, we're ready to begin. All of the candidates are here in alphabetical order. The elementary school candidates are here, and then the high school candidates. And all of the microphones are turned on. Please move them so that you speak into the microphone so that everybody can hear. All right, Jennifer's our timekeeper, and she'll give you the signal to start. Thank you.
Good evening, League of Women Voters and members of the audience. I'm Fidenzio Bruno Brunello, and currently I am the president of the Santa Maria Bonita Elementary School Board. I want to give you a little bit of my background. I was a nominee for the State Teacher of the Year when I first started my job here in Santa Maria. I received the PTA Honorary Lifetime membership. I was elected manager of the year, Santa Maria, amongst the other managers. The Instructional Service Department, which is called the Curriculum Department, which that was my office. When I retired, they named that in my honor. As superintendent of Bonita School, they assigned me there for about a half a year or 3/4 of a year to make sure that my job was to convince the people, the parents, that we have a good program. They were getting their program from the county. And we were providing a program that they received every day. And so overwhelmingly, they chose to go with Santa Maria. And that's how we got Santa Maria Bonita School District. It's because of the desire of the people. I was a former student teacher supervisor at Cal Poly and at Chapman, and I was endorsed by the Santa Maria Bonita Teachers Organization as one of 2 candidates that they're going to support. I have been in education my entire life, and I have a passion for providing children with a good education. When I was running for the Santa Maria Bonita Elementary School Board, there were a lot of things going through my mind. But to continue to accomplish some of the difficult educational challenges that confront the district was obviously a challenge. Now, what am I going to do if I become a board member? Hopefully, I'll get the support, but that's neither here or there. But if I were to become chosen as a board member, the first thing I'm going to do is make sure that the district is solvent. Support the Common Core state standards, and we're going to hear a lot about that for the next 5 years. We're going to support the Measure T school bond, which we're going to try to get passed, to maintain a harmonious, productive relationship with the city and the community constituencies, to continue my thrust with the fine arts program. Now, there's a quote that I live by, and that quote is, kids don't care how much you know until they know you care. And when I worked with kids, I know kids. I know the learning process of students. I know how they think. I know how to motivate them. I know the challenges, concerns, and issues of students. And also I know the challenges that teachers and classified personnel have on a daily basis. And me knowing what I know about them, I will continually support the teachers and classified in their efforts and endeavors. I think I'm ahead by just calling it quits for okay.
Hello everyone, thank you for coming. My name is Lara. I've been a resident of Santa Maria all my life. My family has been here for 50 years. My wife's family has been in the valley for 4 generations. We and our 2 sons were educated in the Santa Maria Bonita School District. I'm not an educator at trade, I'm a farmer. I'm a production supervisor in agriculture. I've been in the ag industry for 28 years. I oversee 2,500 acres and make sure that we grow the best crops possible and stay on schedule. I work from sun up to sundown. Hard work is believing in the people that I work with and has been a key to my success. It is a belief system I will bring to the table as a board member of the Santa Maria Bonita School District. I have been involved in the All-America City Committee, Future Farmers of America, 4-H, Youth Sport Leagues, Boys and Girls Club, and had served as a parent volunteer doing whatever our students need. I have been attending school board meetings regularly for the past 5 years. I will be a positive and productive school board member and work for the best interests of all the students. I have 3 main goals as a new board member in the district. Hire and retain the very best teachers for our students. Improve school safety so our kids can learn and thrive. Ensure fiscal responsibility and increased accountability. I will support our teachers by having the best training possible so that they can be the best they can be in the classroom. I will also listen to the support and the needs of the district's classified employees. They are the ones who keep our schools running and maintained in safe conditions for our students and staff. I will also make sure that I'm available to meet with the community and hear your concerns, ideas, and do what I can to answer your questions. School funding now requires the district to reach out to the community to help determine how to best use school dollars. I will make sure your tax dollars are spent where they will do the best, to be the most effective. Schools need to be more than just reading and math. I will advocate for well-rounded curriculum, which includes PE, fine arts, social studies, and science. I'm all about equality and providing great learning opportunities for all the students. Our students are our future. It is our job to prepare them to be the best to reach out to the career of their dreams. It can be done if we work together as a board, best interest of our students. Bringing the Santa Maria Bonita School District together for our students will be my goal. 5 board members must work together in order to achieve this goal. I know how to be a team player because I am a team player. But I also know how to stand tall in what I believe. I would really appreciate your vote on November 4th. I will always do what's best for the students and families of the Santa Maria Bonita School District. Thank you.
Hey, good evening, everybody, ladies and gentlemen, League of Voters. Thank you so much for inviting me here. I actually feel quite honored. I've been in the teaching profession for over 20 years. I've taught everything from first grade to community college. I started at the high school level, moved to the middle school level, and then to the community college, and most recently at the elementary level with reading, helping with remedial reading and math. So I certainly know the educational system. My education includes a Master's of Science degree in Educational Administration. I've done some PhD work in educational leadership. So I have the education as well as experience that I would bring to this position as a school board member. I'm especially concerned with the special needs of students. My master's thesis was on how to best help children of migrant workers and how they need programs to follow their progress as they go from school to school. Years ago they had a great program for that. Nowadays with computers it's not so hard, but back then it was a little harder to keep track of those students. My PhD research was in how to encourage English learners to stay in college once they started college. We were developing programs to keep them going to college. And that was the goal that I had in that work for the research I was doing on that one. I have memberships in several different educational organizations: International Reading Association, California Science Teachers Association, Association for Supervision and Curriculum Development, and other educational leadership organizations. Why am I running? I have a passion for education, as we've heard. I think we wouldn't be here if we didn't have a passion for quality education in our schools. I am a lifelong learner, and I would like to inspire students to be a lifelong learner. Students these days are inspired through their teachers, which means we need to support the teachers in their endeavors. The goals that I have for this position, the main goal I have is to ensure the best environment for all of our students and teachers. I understand there's a item on the ballot that will enhance the environments here, the teaching environments, improve the schools and the teaching situations. As a longtime teacher, one of my main complaints was large class sizes, and tripping over the students is not a safe situation for either the teachers or the students. So that's an example of something that I would personally like to address if I can influence that in some way. But mainly the environment that would enable all students to learn fairly. Equal isn't necessarily fair, fair isn't necessarily equal, but fairly addressing the special needs of the students. And that's best done with teachers who know each student. Rather than a sea of faces, they can get to know each individual and address the individual needs. Thank you.
Good evening, League of Women Voters. I'd like to thank you for inviting me to take part in this forum. Also, I'd like to thank the community for coming out and those that will be watching this program when it is aired. A little bit of background about me is I'm a U.S. Air Force veteran. I have a master's degree in teaching. I also have a BS in organizational management. I'm also a local Hancock graduate, which I'm very proud to say. I worked in the teaching field for over 10 years. I've worked as a substitute in various capacities with the Santa Maria Joint Union High School District, the county, as well as the Santa Maria Bonita School Districts. I've served the last 4 years on the Santa Maria Bonita School Board, and I thank the people for representing me. I ran on a platform of transparency And this is what I have tried to do since being elected. It's been a very difficult road, and I think the change was kind of traumatic to the board. It was a little different for them because I'm a person full of energy, but I mean well, and I have no problem tackling issues. I'm willing to do the research and the study and take what the community has elected me to do and bring it forth to the board. I'm a team player, but at the same time, I have to remember on that team, I represent the people of the community. Some of the things that I've done since I've been on the board is after a 4-1 vote with everyone against me, I lobbied to the U.S. Department of Education. And as a result of that, they made it instituted through an agreement that the board had to translate the board meetings into English or Spanish. And I expected that with a 92% Latino rate that would have been done automatically, but it was not. Also, many of you have seen on the news where I've spoken about the buildings, the structures at Santa Maria Bonita School District. A part of the turnkey project, we had $100 million given to us, and that money was squandered. And 10 years later or more, we found out that our buildings, the roofs and so forth, were not certified as being safe. I brought this up in a Williams Act complaint after I got no assistance from the district. They wanted to push it under the table. I was not happy with that. I filed the Williams Act. I have the documents that I'll make available to anyone that wants to see them that showed that, yes, they identified there were problems, that they needed to be repaired. Some were repaired, others were not, and those concerns are still open right now. We have some buildings that are still not certified. Also, I attended meetings while I was on the board. I attended meetings with parents. Parents called me. They were frustrated with the district and what the results they were getting, as well as staff about hiring practices and different practices within the district. After talking to the superintendent and not getting any response, I went to the meetings myself at the invitation of the parents. I believe that if we're going to represent the people, we need to be there and check to see what our lieutenants are doing. And I found out everything was not as smooth as it should be, and this has resulted in different actions being taken. Let me move on. I care about the better education of our students. 19 failing schools by state standards and at least 2 schools on the worst school list in the state of California is not acceptable. As an educator, I don't think you should be happy, and I'm not as a board member. I'm pushing for change, and that change has to come sometimes in maybe the way that we do business. While we have done a lot of good things in the district, this is of a major concern, especially when I campaign and I hear parents saying they don't want to come to our school district. They prefer to go to Orchid or they prefer to go to Blockman, which are schools that don't get the funds that we have. They have a little bit of different dynamics as far as their students are concerned, but still, we should have a better representation in our community for the money that we get from the state. In closing, I'd like to say I'd love to be there to represent the next term. I'd love the community to choose me, but what you're going to get is a man that stands behind his word. He's convicted, convinced, and proven that he will stand in and take charge of a bad situation. Thank you.
Now we're going to hear from the high school district candidates. We'll start with Mr. Baskett, and it's in alphabetical order again. 4 minutes.
Thank you, Joan. First, I'd like to congratulate the ladies and gentlemen to my left on the remarkable scores that were achieved by almost 100 students getting the perfect exam scores, exit scores. And that was not by accident, so congratulations. My background is pretty simple. I was born in California, but grew up overseas, spent 20 years in different parts of the world, went in the Army, spent 20 more years in different parts of the world. Last 30 years I've been in Santa Maria. I just got back from Russia on a project we've been working on for a while. I still remember the great impression a third grade teacher made in Weed, California. Weed just burned, as you know, as a result of wildfires. And that teacher had in her classroom a paddle. And as a normal young boy, I was well aware of that paddle. It made a big impression on me. And I think we may have lost some of the authority and respect that teachers should have in the classroom. My 3 children graduated from Rigetti. They're all doing good, tax-paying citizens. Nobody's in jail. With that, I'll pass it on to the next person.
I'm Dr. Carol Karamitsos. I'm currently serving on the board. I was elected 8 years ago and have decided to run again for another term, largely because I have a very strong conviction that public education is really the foundation of our democracy, and it really is the one thing in a community that is the great equalizer. And so I really care about Santa Maria. I was born here, graduated from Rigetti High School, went off to college and medical school, residency, and then came back 20 years ago to work with my father, who many of you might know, Dr. John Karamitsos. And we had a great 10 years together, and he was he's obviously, my parents have always been my greatest role models. My father served on the Orchid School Board, and that's really what piqued my interest in running 8 years ago. I thought, I saw that my father always said that if it weren't for public education, he would have never become a physician. He was from a poor family, and that gave him the opportunity to really seek out his dreams. And I find that I would hope that we can provide that for all the students in our community. It's always a challenge because you know, as Janeen was saying, you know, we want to be fair. Fair is not always equal, but we want to be fair. And that's actually one of the most exciting things I think now with the new funding formula with LCFF is that I can see that in our community we're going to have new dollars coming in to allow us to build our programs, support teachers. Common Core is going to allow, I hope, teachers to be more innovative with the No Child Left Behind. I think there was a narrowing of teacher perspective on them feeling the pressure to make sure that the students were given informational bits to take a test rather than become educated. And I think we would all agree, because there's probably most of us sitting in this room weren't subjected to that same sort of standardized testing, and we, you know, flourished under that education system and became lifelong learners and members of the community that have given back to the community. You know, so that's essentially why I decided to run again, is that having run 8 years ago, I didn't know much 8 years ago. I'll be honest, but I had a long history, long string of being an educated person, and I'm a lifelong learner too. And I dug in. I did a lot of hard work. I went to the Masters of Governance course that the California School Board Association offers, and I think I have the background to help to bring us forward into this new way of the funding, and also our LCAP plan with, as it's been mentioned, community involvement with our education, our high school education. So I appreciate the opportunity to speak with you all tonight, and thank you very much.
Good evening. My name is Dominick Palera, and I want to start by echoing what the fellow candidates have also said. A big thank you to the League of Women Voters and the Santa Maria Times for co-hosting this event. It gives the candidates a chance to say their positions and get to be known by the public. So I want to thank them and thank you for coming. Let me start by telling you a little bit about myself. I'm a native New Yorker. I was born and raised in New York. When I graduated high school, I was entered the Marine Corps, and during that time in the Marine Corps, I got stationed in Southern California at El Toro, where I happened to meet my wife, and we have since been married 36 years. And I fell in love with California. Got out of the Marine Corps, went back to New York, but once you're out here, it's hard to stay away. So I wound up coming back. Pam and I came back to California. She's a native girl. from California, and we decided we were going to raise a family. After the birth of my first daughter, we drove up the coast and we found Santa Maria, and we said, this is a community we want to live and raise a family. So we settled down here in Santa Maria in 1981, and I raised 3 girls in this community. All attended local schools, all graduated from Rigetti High School. During that time, I decided my passion, while I was in the Marine Corps, I got exposed to law enforcement, and I entered the law enforcement career and joined the Sheriff's Department. And I spent 30 years with the Sheriff's Department. I think I've worked every assignment they've had. I've worked gangs, I've worked narcotics, I've worked major crimes. I know what those can do on a community, and I know what those things can do to the youth in a community. During that time, I rose to the ranks and was a commander. My last assignment was here in the North County. I was in charge of the North County Division, which was responsible for the Santa Maria area, Solvang, and Buellton, all the way down to the Gaviota Tunnel. So, as a commander, I got to work in the Sheriff's Department on budgets and working with different groups of people. Similar to the teachers, we had law enforcement, which was sworn, and then we had civilian staff, where in the teaching, you have the faculty, the teachers that are certified, and then you have the classified staff. So I'm familiar with that at a different level. But I also got to work on budgets, and the Sheriff's Department gets a lot of different funding, similar to what the schools do. They call it different things. There's the LCFF, there's LCAP for the schools. The Sheriff's Department gets funding from different things. Some of it's restricted. So I'm familiar with those things. Not all the terminology on this side. I'm trying to get up to speed on that. But I chose to run because I've been retired about 1.5 years now, and I wanted to give something back to the community. And as I said, I've seen what drugs, gangs, and violence can do with our youth. And the sign of a healthy community is a healthy youth. So my focus, if I get elected to school board, is to work in cooperation with the board, the administration, the faculty, and staff to work towards providing those students, those children, everything they need, that when they graduate, they can go on and succeed in either education or a career of their choice. So that'll be my major focus. So again, thank you.
Good evening, my name is Diana Perez. Thank you for the invitation, League of Women Voters. It's a pleasure to be here tonight. I want to tell you a little bit about myself. I was raised in Salinas, California. I'm a product of the community college system. I attended Hartnell College. I have a bachelor's degree from UC Santa Barbara in political science and a master's degree in education counseling. I've spent about 18 years of my life working with students and families. I was first hired right out of college at Santa Barbara City College, loved working there. Then I moved up to UC Santa Barbara, was a UC admissions counselor for a number of years, and then was hired by Allen Hancock College first as a counselor and now as an administrator. And I've been an administrator for a grant-funded program for the last about 14 years. So I've had many, many years working with students and families. I'm currently the director of the Central Coast Council Consortium, and right now I work with providing jobs for college students, and we send them right back into our junior high and high schools as tutors and role models. I also administer a scholarship program that over the last 5 years has provided over $1 million in scholarships to local students. And I also run the Cash for College events here on the Central Coast, which means that we provide financial aid services to students and families. We also help students with the DREAM Act application and also the new middle class scholarship for families, which is new from a new program from that was supported by Governor Brown. So I've been doing this for a number of years, and the reason that I'm here and the reason that 2 years ago I ran for the Santa Maria Joint Union High School Board, I didn't quite make it, but now I am an appointee appointee of the board, and I've been on the board since February, and I must say it's been an amazing experience. There's a high learning curve, and I've been learning a lot. And for me, the bottom line is I've always supported students. I'm currently at Allen Hancock College, and I've been there for the last 14 years, and so I thought it was a good tie for me to be in post-secondary education and then at the same time be able to serve the school district that's here. When I was younger, my parents worked in the fields, I worked in the fields, so I know it can be done, and listening to Dominick Palera and talk about our youth, I know that education is the ticket for a lot of our youth. And that's why, I'm on the board, and that's why I've worked in education and supported student services, supported Allen Hancock College and everything that we have available for our students. So I hope that, I can continue. I'm here because I honestly believe that Santa Maria is growing, and we need to support the students as our community grows. I know Mayor Patino's here, and I told her that I came to this community to support the youth, and that's why I'm here. And so I'm hoping that as I learn that not only do we support the students, but we also support the teachers and the parents. It really takes the entire community to make it work. And that's why I'm dedicated to continuing on the board. Thank you.
My name is Gerald Walsh. I was born and raised in the Midwest. I left Michigan in 1960 to come to California to try to go to school. I went to Berkeley. Once I was in Berkeley, I decided to never go back to Michigan. It was not a difficult choice. When I graduated from Berkeley, I went another year to get my teaching credential. And I taught in 3 different schools as a student teacher. I was told at each school, you have a job here next year. All we have to do is pass our tax election in June. All 3 schools, 3 different districts, all 3 districts failed in their tax election. I had no idea what I was going to do. I went to the placement office. There was a guy interviewing for Santa Maria, California. I had no idea where Santa Maria, California was. But a guy named Ken Osborne, who was superintendent at the time, interviewed me. At the end, he said, we want you to come down and see the district. I said, come down. How far is down? And he said, about 5 hours by car. And I thought, my God, in Michigan, if you drove for 5 hours, you were in Kentucky. So I borrowed a car and I came down. And I came in the north end of town, North Broadway. The freeway had just come in. North Broadway wasn't paved. I found the district office at 1619 South Broadway, and it was an old rundown house. And I thought, my God, what am I doing? But I went through the interview. It was sort of a meet the press thing with the 2 principals and the superintendent, and I enjoyed it. It was a good debate. I like to debate. And they said, before you go home, why don't you go by the school? And I thought, hey, isn't that thing next door, the school? No, there's a new school. So they sent me out to Rigetti, and I saw it and I fell in love. It's like, I could do this for a couple of years. So I got a job offer and I came down. That's 40 some years ago. I didn't go back. I had to convince my wife to leave the Bay Area. We were engaged at the time, but I had to convince her this was a nice place. The first time she visited it, she thought this is a village. I'm a city girl. But she stuck it out, and she's still with me. I've enjoyed my service in this district. I think it's an excellent district. I think it's very well run, and I think we have a good working board. I'd like to continue with that. Thank you for your support.
Thank you, all the candidates. Thank you for staying on time and even not using up all your time. If you have questions, I hope you've been writing them on cards. We'll have league members collecting the questions, and we'll sort them and see how many we have and how much time we have. We're going to take a 10-minute break now. There are League of Women Voters materials on the back table. There are candidate materials outside in the lobby. Okay, take a break now, 10 minutes. Thank you.
I'm a straight shooter. I got me elected. I'm a
Okay, will candidates please take your places? Audience, please sit down. We have a lot of questions. I'm sure you're going to want to hear the answers. Jennifer, 1 minute answers. Since we have so many questions, we're going to limit the answers to 1 minute. I will read the question, and then if it's directed at an individual, that individual can answer first, and then if it's just to the whole group, we'll just go around in alphabetical order. The first question here is directed to the elementary school candidates. How would you address class size for the Santa Maria Bonita School District? The elementary school candidates can answer that. Bruno, do you want to start?
Sure. The only way I can answer that, it's terrible. We have schools, we have about 20 schools. And of the 20 schools, they are all fully packed with students. And basically, I put a figure down that the schools that we have now, about 20 schools, they have 15,000 is the capacity to fill those 15 schools. 15,500, let's say, that's close. Right now, we have over 16,000 students with the same schools. We're just packing them in.
How would you solve that?
Well, right now, it's not a really healthy situation in terms of solving it. The teacher can only do so much.
Okay. Mr. Lara.
Well, as Bruno said, all our schools are really impacted. And as we know, there's a bond on the ballot, but in order to get that to pass, we have to have everybody vote because we know we need more schools. And with that, we could either add bungalows, but then we're reducing the size of our school play areas for the kids as far as being able to exercise and have areas to play. So I'm kind of like Bruno, we just need more schools.
Okay. Ms. Miller.
Well, the bottom line is it takes money, and there's no doubt about it. You can't get bungalows, you can't get new schools without money. On the bright side, the state of California has changed their funding somewhat, so this district is getting some additional funds, which are not necessarily for capital outlays, but there are some additional funds that would hopefully address some of these needs. As a teacher teaching in a huge class size, it was very unsafe, uncomfortable, and if we can stress to the public how unsafe it is to be in crowded classrooms, unsafe for both the teachers and the students, we're hoping they pass bond measures so that we'd have the money to address these needs.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Smith.
Yes, there is an answer, and the bond is not the answer. Currently on the books, the California Department of Education tells us that if we went to the track system, we could hold 1/3 more capacity of students. In other words, if you had 15,000 kids, 5,000, you would be able to accommodate 5,000 more. It would reduce class sizes, allow more teachers to be hired, aides and staff, and our children would be in a safe environment. And just because some don't want it and they would rather see the money come forth out of the taxpayers, I don't agree with that, and I voted against that. Yes, if you went to the track system, our problem would be resolved. And it also says that if we knew that all this was going to happen as far as this abundance of students coming in, proper preparedness would have prevented this. And I think that we should not cry on the taxpayers because we are not doing it correctly.
All right, thank you. The next question is for the high school district candidates. What is your plan to encourage a pathway from high school to Allen Hancock College? We can start with Mr. Baskett and we'll just go down the row.
Thank you. Well, one of the beautiful things in Santa Maria, of course, is Allen Hancock College. You've got people here who are reaching down into the high school district. Two of my sons went to Allen Hancock while they're still in high school, and I think that program still continues for advanced placement. What I have seen is there's a good pathway that is open and is welcoming. I don't have any better suggestions than that to keep it going.
Okay. Ms. Karamitsos.
Yeah, I think I would broaden the scope of that question to say that we really want to build pathways for students to actually enter either Allen Hancock College, which is a fabulous resource that we have here, but there are many other community colleges that kids could attend, as well as four-year state colleges and universities, and then if that's not their desire, they prefer to go into a career. We are actually in the process of, we just acquired land out on the east side of the freeway for a career technical education site. And so I think it's happening. I mean, I think that we have a plan in place and it's moving forward.
Thank you. Mr. Palera.
Thank you. I think we're blessed and fortunate to have Allen Hancock in this community here. It's an excellent community college, and they offer a lot of programs. I see the students, the availability for the students to go there, especially those that don't have the funds to go on to a four-year or don't qualify for a grant or a scholarship. So I think that is taking place, but we also have to make sure that the students have various paths, whether it's college or a career. They need to leave the school with something on their mind. The worst thing is when the students leave the high school and they have no idea what they're going to do. So we need to encourage them to just broaden their horizons and reach out for anything. Okay.
Ms. Perez.
Approximately 40% of our district high school students attend Allen Hancock College. Allen Hancock College is one of the top community colleges in the state of California, so we have a gem in our backyard, and many of our students are taking advantage of hundreds of degrees and certificates that are available at Allen Hancock College. I can tell you, since I've been on the board, I invited the superintendent, Dr. Richardson, to come to Allen Hancock College. We met with the new vice president of student services, and let me tell you exactly what we are doing. We brought just this week, we brought all of our Allen Hancock College counselors to meet with all of the new counselors who have just been hired at the high school district. There's 11 new counselors, credentialed counselors, a total of 18, and we all came together to discuss how we're all going to collaborate to support all of the students and where they want to go. So we are working together behind the scenes. It's happening right now.
Thank you. Mr. Walsh.
Thank you. I'm still the advisor of a high school club at Rigetti High School. I've been the advisor for almost 40 years of the Interact Club, which is a community service club. We get in discussions about the junior college, and what I've convinced them is I made it all the way to a PhD, and I began in a junior college. I began there because it was affordable, and I didn't have to spend 2 years of my life savings doing my freshman and sophomore work, and I was able then to transfer for a four-year college. And Hancock has an incredible record of success for students that get their AAs at Hancock or do their breadth requirements at Hancock and then move on to a four-year university. It's a logical place to do it. It's a good place to do it.
Thank you. This question is about security. What type or level of security is needed on our school campuses? We'll start with Mr. Lara.
What type of security? Excuse me. What type of security we need on our school campus? I think we've already established that by putting fences up around the school play areas. As far as maybe bringing back the DARE program and having an on-site officer come, is probably about the best thing I would say would work. But right now we're already enclosing our school campuses.
Okay. Ms. Miller.
The recent problems at schools have mostly been caused by young men who've been bullied. And if we have smaller class sizes, the teachers would be able to pay attention to what the students are saying and hopefully stop anything like that. We do have the fences that are built. Some parents who spoke to me said they found the fences intimidating. Maybe we can paint them pink or something. And the police, I know, are now addressing the issue with officers on the campuses. So that helps. That's a good deterrent. Where I'm from, we had the police officers on campus, and the miscreants did not want to get into trouble with those people there. So that helps somewhat too.
Okay, Mr. Smith.
I believe what we need on the campus is not just 3 police officers. Police officers are great, but 3 police officers for about 16,000 kids is not working, especially when the schools are so spread out. What I'm in favor of is getting more help. I've worked at a prison fences in time of riot or so forth, but they don't help. They can hinder to a certain degree. But if we bring in more staff in the form of aides and teachers and so forth and use that money, I think it would be a better investment for our kids as well as the safety of our schools. We do need some fencing in some areas, but even with the fencing that we have out now, it's cut off some of our parks and so forth, and I was not in agreement with the total way that was done. So again, I think the human interaction, the humans being there, especially for the younger kids, is the way we should go.
Okay, the high schools, or maybe that's a different situation. What's the security situation there, or what's needed?
The security technology has gotten quite low cost, and I believe that videos, cameras, recordings and other things, when people know they're being watched and recorded, will tend to suppress some activities. I'll say something controversial. When you have an active shooter in a school, generally the school gets locked down, people hide under the desk, and things sometimes stop, sometimes they don't. There are cases where in large crowds where properly licensed, properly equipped people in the facility, on the staff or in the group that runs the organization were properly trained and armed. There are times when I believe there's a place for armed citizens in the schools to help with the security.
Okay, Ms. Karamitsos. Pardon?
Did Mr. Brunello?
We're going to go around and
okay,
come back to him.
School safety is a huge concern, obviously, and I agree that there's the physical plant that you want to make sure that your physical plant is safe, and that's not just about fences, but that's obviously about having other backup, like doors that lock from the inside only and such. I gonna graciously completely disagree with you. I do not want to see armed private citizens on our campuses. I think that's a recipe for disaster. I think we have a police force that's well trained, and we have very close proximity throughout the city. We actually have 3 full-time policemen on the campuses right now. They do a great job and interface very well with the students. So.
Thank you.
Correct, so that would be armed.
Mr. Palera.
Yes, the problem you're dealing with, society has changed. Just pick up the paper. If anybody believes that something as a school shooting couldn't happen in this community, they have their head in the sand. It can happen anywhere. I've seen the tragedies happen in this community. I've seen horrendous things happen in Santa Barbara where they never thought it could happen. So we have to be prepared. The problem is we're dealing with aging schools that weren't designed for today's society. They've done the right thing. They have closed campuses. You can use your fencing. You have to control the access points. You got to continue to make sure that you have the police officers on the campus and the deputy sheriff. I'd like to see a contract signed with the sheriff that we guarantee that we have the deputy at Rigetti. Right now, it's at the will of the sheriff. I think if we contract it out like we do in the city, that would ensure that that deputy would be there. So that's what I would do.
Okay, Ms. Perez.
Yes, as Dr. Karamitsos mentioned, we do have 3 police officers, 1 per high school. And I know in the past, it was one that, we only had one that was shared between the high schools. And while I concur, I think students and staff need to feel safe. And sometimes things do happen. I think that we need to have some security at our schools. Allen Hancock College has a whole department. And it does help to assure that, that we're taking care of things when something does occur. So for me, I think it adds an element of safety to know that there's friendly officers that can help you work with students and the staff when something does occur. I think it is necessary in this day and age.
Mr. Walsh.
I do not want to see armed security people on our campuses. I don't want guns on our campus, whether they be security people or whatnot. We have 3 security people at each site. They patrol the campus constantly. They're in contact with the Sheriff's Department and the City Police Department when need be. And those departments come by daily on a regular basis to check with the school. I think we're doing an adequate job with that at the moment. I'd just like to continue the status quo.
Thank you. Mr. Brunello.
Yeah, it pretty much covered what we do. Well, one thing we did is that we changed all the locks. And they have these special locks that there's only one person that can open that door. And that's basically the teacher. And once the kids are inside, there's no way they can turn the lock to get outside. It takes a teacher. Also, we have policemen there, but not to monitor anybody that doesn't come on campus. However, if there are some strangers coming on campus, they will quickly be confronted by the officer that's in the classroom. And normally what they do is they work on anyway, what they do is basically teach drugs. And they've been doing an excellent job with their presentations.
Okay, thank you.